Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and finally get around to reviewing this film. A very nice guy named Roger sent this. I sent. He actually paid me about $20 to check this movie out in the theater and watch it, and finally got around to doing it. And that's The Conjuring 2. His first name is Roger. I'm not going to say his last name or anything else. I'm not going to say his username, just in case he wants to keep that secret. But if you're watching, thank you so much. Hopefully you liked the review. The first Conjuring, I didn't mind. I liked it. That was pretty decent. It's well directed by James Wan. And going into this, had about a 2 hour, 7 minute running time, give or take. I'm like, yeah, this seems a bit long. But after watch it, I'd probably say I liked the first one a bit more. But it didn't scare me. It didn't freak me out like some people are saying. I don't really get scared with horror films nowadays. I thought it was an okay movie. I will say, though, it's a very well directed movie. A lot of nice camera pans, camera movements, going from outside the house, through a window, inside the house, going through the room in one shot. Nice reveals. I mean, James Wan is a very capable, talented director. And the cast is pretty decent. You have the two investigators from the first film, Patrick Wilson and I forget the actress's name. They do a good job. It begins in Amityville. Film takes place in the 70s. And the camera actually goes through those famous windows into the Amityville house where Patrick Wilson and his wife are investigating it. His wife goes under this hypnosis. She relives the murders, sort of does this cocking this rifle that we can't see, but she's sort of reliving the murders through this guy's. And, well, the scene's well done, where it goes through each room and gunshots just appear on people, on the victims. And throughout it, she gets upset, crazed. There's this demonic looking nun that freaks her out. And that's pretty much all to the Amityville part. Kind of, I will say, I kind of wish the whole film was centered on Amityville. Maybe just we could get a good Amityville movie, finally. I mean, the last good one was, I haven't seen part two, no, but I've heard good things, but I like the original. Some of the others, not so much. I know there's a new Amityville film coming out. It's not going to be as good as this, because James Wan is a very capable director. The family, there's a family in England, and the acting's fine on the family. I've seen so many ghost story, ghost movies, haunted, ghost haunted stuff. While it's well directed, the acting is fine. That's why I can give it, I don't hate the film, but I've seen so many of these. How many of these ghost story movies? You got Ouija, you got, well, to be fair, I haven't seen Ouija or Annabelle, but I've seen the trailers to them and I have no interest in them. I've seen clips, I have no interest in them. And there's just been so many, from The Last Exorcism to, yes, I like Deliverance from Evil because I like that it was about a cop in New York. That was, I like the take on that. The perspective, I should say, on that. Made it fun for me to watch. Here, the two investigators, they only pop up occasionally for like the first half of the film, which is sad because those are the two best characters in the movie. I wish the film had showcased them more, but of course it has to showcase the family because they're the ones being haunted. And again, there's some nice pan shots through the house. There's knocking during the night. Uh, Once in a while, it cuts back to the two investigators like they're on this TV show, and this guy's talking about how, oh, it's a hoax, you guys are full of shit. Then it cuts back to the family in England. There's voices uh, when they're sleeping, and the girl. There's, I think, 3 kids. There's a boy and 2 girls, and I believe it's 3. I know there's 2 girls and a boy. I'm not sure. I think it's just those 3 kids. And the one girl, she sleepwalks. There's these toy trucks. There's this tent. Screams coming from the tent. Oh, you just been sleepwalking again? There's some nice transitions, like going from day to night in one shot. But I've seen that in movies. I've seen that before. God, what was the movie? There was a movie where the whole house was burned, and then in the same shot it went to a window, and then the house was fine, like it's been restructured. I forget what the hell movie that was, but I know I've seen that shot before. But it still is a nicely done shot. You have this scene where the girl sees a reflection on the TV, and you see the reflection from the TV turns and the remote drops, and there's some nice, oh shit, this comes out, there's a face right there where you didn't see it coming. And it's like, well, if you've seen Insidious and you're all 3 of those movies and the first Conjuring, you kind of know what you're dealing with. And that's the thing, it's like, James Wan did Insidious and Insidious 2, and did he do 3 or was it Lee Winnell? Can't remember. And he did, The Conjuring 1, and again, there's been like 50 ghost story movies. It's like, with horror films, I wish we could see a big, like, take this budget and do a slasher movie again. Do a movie a la House of Wax again. Or, get the, if you want to do the Friday 3, get it off its ass. Not have it be just another fucking reboot. Or something, put some finesse into it. Or a monster movie, a creature feature. You have practical effects, as well as good actors, good characters. Like a decent budget R-rated creature feature film. Or just enough of these ghost stories. I think that's really the problem for me. It's not a badly done movie, it's just, how many of these fucking movies are we going to have lately? Just tiring a bit. And the acting on The Family in London wasn't bad, but I didn't really care what was happening to them. Not for lack of trying from the actors or the writing, it's just, I wasn't that drawn in, but it's okay. And then once in a while it cuts back to, again, the investigators, which are the most interesting characters. And Patrick Wilson is drawing the nun that the wife saw. And I don't know why she doesn't tell him right away, like, wait a minute, I saw that nun, and it'll have something to do with your death, like a premonition of your death. But he doesn't tell him right away. I don't know why she waits on it. And then it cuts back to the people in London. There's spooked during the night. A girl gets a bite mark. 2 of the girls go to the mom, the dresser, goes across the room. And it was so cool. They immediately leave and go next door. But I'm like, they kind of did that with Insidious, where, okay, immediately, let's just move to another house. And I'm like, and that also had Patrick Wilson in it. And I'm like, deja vu. Insidious been the 70s. It's just, I mean, The Conjuring 1 and 2, you change 5 things and they're Insidious. I mean, but I guess The Conjuring 1, I don't know, maybe because it was kind of introducing these 2 investigators, and oh yeah, I really grew to like them, and yeah, they're actually pretty good actors and actresses and characters, and the house seemed like a little bit more in the middle of nowhere, and it seemed like the finale just had a bit more oomph to it as opposed to this one. But yeah, the family leaves, they get cops, the chair moves by itself, and then the cops kind of believe them, and we don't know what to do. We gotta talk to the church. And then it cuts back to the investigators, where the demonic nun visits the wife of uh, Patrick Wilson. And some well done scenes where the shadow goes by of the nun, goes to the painting of Patrick Wilson, and then it's like the shadow stands, and the painting's like where the head would be, and then the painting leaps off, and the painting comes alive and tries to attack Patrick Wilson's wife. And it's not a badly shot scene, but it's like, okay, it's runaway painting. Not scared, not creeped out really. Not even really. I'm not creeped out. I'm like, okay, bad shit, none on the loose. The nun's having none of it. And she has this little vision where sees that Patrick Wilson is going to be impaled. Then wakes up, and then does tell Patrick Wilson. So that's profound. Does tell him. Goes back to the family again. This little girl is letting the. This is the girl. One of the kids is letting this dog out. They're at their neighbors now. And I thought it was a nice idea. The dog, and all done in one shot, far away. The dog is like right here, and it shivers and it forms into this tall figure, sort of this crooked man figure. I like the look of the crooked man. I like the design. I mean, you see a lot in shadow, but I like the sort of dangling. It reminds me of one of those horror video games that people like Markiplier and such play, where it's these kind of stuff chasing after you. It comes back to finally the investigator saying, hey, let's take this case. And she's like, oh, I don't want you to die. And he's like, well, maybe God's showing you this to prevent this. We don't run from fights. And I like the idea of these two investigators. But this is probably at least an hour into the film, maybe more so. And these two investigators who I like the most, all we've gotten is the little bit in Amityville, Patrick Wilson drawing a painting, the painting coming after his wife, and they take the case. I don't know, it seemed like in the first one they got there sooner, or they were able to do more. I don't know what it is. Maybe not, but it felt that way. They finally get there. And again, there's some nice shots. Like for the little girl, let's do this test. You get some water, you put it in your mouth, and then talk, so that make sure it's not a hoax. Well, you must look away. They look away, and like Patrick Wilson's here, and you still see he's looking. I imagine he's this, and he turns away to look over here to now look at the figure, but we still see the figure and the little girl, and then it gets bigger. It's like this much taller figure saying who it is and why it's doing this. And again, that's why I like the film okay, because there's shots like that. It is a very well directed. James Wan has an eye. He does have a talent, but it's not doing anything that original. And it's not really doing anything that innovative. It's not really doing anything that different that you didn't see in Insidious films or the first Conjuring. It's kind of like, I don't know if the sequel really needed to be made, other than the first one was a huge hit. And it's getting good reviews because this is a well-directed film. It's not a cheap ploy thing. It's just some stuff happens, and then they think maybe it's a hoax. This incident happens, and they leave after it. And ultimately, the two investigators play these tapes. I like the idea that they have these two strips of tape, and they play them both. And because they play both at the same time, these words and these words actually connect to form a sentence. And find out that that demonic nun is really the one behind it. Is using the old man ghost haunting that family as a pawn. They go back, most of the family's trapped outside while the little girl's inside. Patrick Wilson goes in. The wife is like, "Oh no, something will happen." Patrick Wilson gets blinded. I like this scene where he sees the crooked man and sort of chases after Patrick Wilson, and the crooked man kind of goes like in and through the ceiling and bashes through doors, armed through a door to try to get Patrick Wilson. I like that sequence. Pretty much in order to stop the demon, you need to know the name. Remembers that she had written the name down when that scene before where she had the nun painting fuck with her. I realized that the name is Valak. I'm like, is that the vampire from John Carpenter's Vampires? And the wife says the name, and the demonic nun goes bye-bye, and she saves Patrick Wilson, who saves the little girl before they both get impaled on this tree trunk. After they've gone about ready to go through the window. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. So, it's a well-directed movie. It takes place in the 70s. Looks like it was made in the 70s. Even the look of the film, I like the way they did that. I mean, like the first film. Patrick Wilson and the woman who played his wife did a good job acting-wise. The family in London are not bad. They're not unlikable. It's just, for some reason, I didn't really care what was going on with them. And, there's some nice shots. Again, when Patrick Wilson has to look over here and we see it all happening, sort of that old school where it's happening all in one shot, not quick cuts, not quick edits, not schizophrenic stuff. I like that. It does remind me of older films. I think that's what people appreciate about it. And that's why they don't mind seeing more of these movies, because not many people even nowadays are doing that. I mean, James Wan was doing that in Insidious and this. But even the other ghost story movies, they're not doing this. So I think that's why people appreciate these films. I actually understand that. That's why I'm not going to say I hated the film. I'm fine with having watched it. If I found this and the first Conjuring in the $5 bin, sure, I'd pick you up for the collection, for both. Because the two investigators, I wish they would have more to do. Like, get in there earlier and have more experience with actually doing investigating and doing this, doing that, and not taking like an hour or over an hour, it felt like, at least. I don't know a specific time, but it felt like to get there. And I just will like the two leads because they were the more interesting characters. Patrick Wilson and the other, to have more screen time, have more stuff to do. And I don't know, the ending just seemed, I don't want to say anticlimactic, but it's kind of like, whatever. Said the name of demonic nun, she went bye-bye, and really the only bit I liked was the crooked man bit going after Patrick Wilson. It just felt like the ending to the first one had just more oomph to it. It seemed like there was more stuff going on with it. Although I haven't seen that film in a long time, so maybe I could be wrong. The score, fit the film, but I can't remember anything off the top of my head. I just remember not being distracting. It is a well-directed film. It's just, I think it's just, I'm tired of seeing these kind of movies. I like to see, let's do more movies like The Burbs. It's not horror, but still, let's do more movies like, maybe like Deep Blue Sea, Deep Rising, The Relic. Or let's do more movies like the remake of House of Wax. I know it's a remake, but it doesn't have to be a remake. But I mean, like, a crazy, fun, bloody slasher film that's in theaters that we could actually see. Release that in the summer. When was the last time a big slasher film that wasn't a shitty remake came out in the summer? Or a movie like The Blob, which I guess that's another remake, but a good remake from 1988, or I don't know. I like to see like a Leviathan type of movie in the theater, but let's have more variety is what I'm getting. Let's have more variety in our horror films, because I don't even remember what all horror films have come out this year so far. This is the only one I can think of for 2016. I have to look real quick. I'm very curious about this. What the hell? 20s? The Purge election year, which I guess you would call that. I guess you'd call that a. Yeah, I guess. I guess that's a horror film. The Forest, which I didn't see. The Boy. Forgot about that. I didn't see it, so that's why a film called Lights Out. Leatherface. 10 Cloverfield Lane. The Darkness, which isn't that another ghost story, The Darkness? Is The Forest a ghost story too? I guess 10 Cloverfield Lane. That's not a ghost story. Purge election year, I guess. I don't know, it seemed like The Purge 2 felt more like an action movie than a horror movie. And I like that movie though, but The Boy, I don't know. I did hear the twist in the movie, and it's like The Other Side of the Door. That's a ghost story movie. The Forest, I think that's one. It just, yeah, nothing that really jumps into. Oh shit, yeah. But anyway, that's my thoughts on The Conjuring 2. Liked it all right. You know, decent time waster. Mainly because it is a very well directed film. But you know, I saw Insidious. I saw The Conjuring. I haven't seen Insidious 2 and 3. I will be honest, I should give those a look. And watch just Insidious 1 I haven't seen since it first came out. I remember liking it, not liking the ending. Then people go, well, watch the sequel because I'll fix the ending for you. I'm like, oh, okay. And I still haven't seen it yet. But even the couple I've seen, it's like it just feels like kind of retreading stuff I've seen, or it feels like been 10 of them. But again, it's a well directed movie, and the acting, they do their work fine. So thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you later. Bye bye.